If you guys are looking to get better on controller, whether you play on PS4 or Xbox, I played on both of them. And also, if you play single claw, double claw, or even if you hold the controller normally, I'm gonna shine some light on some things and share some general knowledge about controller. This is some stuff that will really help you improve. I study pros all the time and I really want to help you guys, so let's get into the video. I just want to start out by noting some things for you guys, and that's if you do not play claw, whether you do single or double, I recommend trying double. I really want to point out the fact that if you don't play claw right now, unless you have a Scuf controller or something with paddles on it, it's really putting you at a disadvantage. You will just not take advantage of the full controller movement whenever you're playing normally. So if you do not play claw, my first tip is to really give it a genuine shot, because it will drastically make you better in like 2 or 3 weeks. Next thing I want to point out is my sense. If you guys notice, if you watch any pro player, they have no jerky movement. They're very smooth when it comes to playing on controller. You notice that their builds are placed very smoothly. It comes natural to them. It almost looks like that's because they have so much hours on it. If you're just starting claw, don't expect to be good within the first month. This video is not going to be a guide to how to get better on claw, but I just wanted to point out that if you don't play claw, you really need to get started on it. If you guys want a video on how to get better at single or double claw, let me know in the description and I can help you guys out. I might even make the video. So I want to point something out, and that's really important, and it will save you a lot of frustration whenever you're going through your binds, and this might even solve a problem that you currently have at the moment. So if you go to your edit controls and you have confirm as one of your triggers, this is really not good. Let me explain why. So for example, if you're doing a double edit, you might do this right here, and then when you go to edit, since my confirm is LB, I'm gonna be holding turbo build, which is RT on my controller. So I'm holding turbo build literally like almost the whole time, besides when I'm confirming edits, right? But as I do this, I'm holding RT, which is my select button, and then the second I let go, it instantly places a cone in front of you. This is really triggering if you don't understand what's going on, because you're like, how the hell is a cone placing when I didn't even mean to do that? So me personally, I do not have confirm as a trigger. So instead, LB is actually my reset, and then triangle is my confirm. So whenever I'm building, it's a lot easier to edit because I don't have to worry about that cone being placed, which makes it really easy for me. And I just wanted to point that out for you guys. Also, another tip that I want to point out is that whenever you're doing controller creative warrior builds, the build you might do a lot, especially on double claw or single claw, is this right here. And if you are trying to edit down and be fancy like Phase Sway and come here and do this, that's like a move that happens a lot, and he catches someone right here with a shotgun shot, for example. If you do not place this wall here, it's gonna be freaking triggering to do this. Every time you're gonna do this stair edit, you're gonna get caught grabbing this wall instead of grabbing the stair. So the only way to fix that is to make sure that whenever you're doing that, is that you look over a tad bit more to place the wall there. That way it forces you to grab this stair edit because you're looking at it, and you can continue with the build. Also, another quick way to get around that is if you do this and you whip out your pickaxe, you can snag the edit. Or when you're editing and you do this, if you come over here and edit, you'll be able to grab it way easier. But it's almost impossible doing that full speed. It's every time, no matter how much you look down, it always ends up grabbing that wall. So just follow that tip that I mentioned earlier. So the next thing I want to talk about is going to drastically improve your editing, especially when editing a wall. This is something that I take to all my games, no matter what I'm playing, no matter how I'm practicing. Whenever you edit a wall on controller, always edit the wall starting from the left tile down and up like this. This will help you with consistency when it comes to doing those wall edits, those 4-corner wall edits, for example, like a quick shot like this. And it will make you a better editor in turn. So really follow these. Or you can do it starting from right to left, but I personally don't like that movement. I find it to be a little weird. That's probably because I haven't been practicing it. But if you are ever editing a 4-corner wall like this, always edit like this. It helps it be smoother because you're building muscle memory, and it just kind of sticks in your brain that way. One thing I really want to point out is the fact that you see EpikWhale here. He's really good on controller, and I'm pretty sure he used to play on mouse and keyboard. The transition for him seems to be pretty easy, but he also plays plays really smooth, and he's a really good example of how to play on controller. One of the main things is how he edits really well. He really edits quick, but at the same time you can tell that he takes his time when he edits, and when it comes down to it, there's sometimes just like right here where he's really smooth and he takes his time. You really need to make sure that you can edit really well and smooth. Just don't rush it, and make sure you're not jerky. And he knows as well as you guys know that you can tell exactly what he's doing. It's just happening really quickly. That's a really good example of a controller player. So this next thing I want to point out is to remember that this controller input is a little weird, and this is something that if you're coming over from mouse and keyboard, it's going to be really hard to pick up unless someone tells you it or you figure it out by yourself. So whenever you're building up like this on controller, if you build up like the way I'm doing, and if you try to edit this, it's gonna do this stupid thing where it always edits this wall because that's the last build that you placed. So just remember, if you want to get rid of that, just place that there and then do the edit that way. Or another way to get around this is that, let's say I'm doing it like this and I don't want to place that mat here. I have to physically press the LT button, which is my stair, and I have to press that button so that way it goes to my stair and I'm allowed to edit this without that wall here. So whenever you're on controller, if you want to edit something, it's not like mouse and keyboard where you just look at it and it will edit for you. You actually have to get the build out that way that it doesn't screw you up as you're trying to edit, because there's a lot of angles in this game that make it really hard to do certain edits, and if you don't have the correct build out, you'll get really frustrated. So for example, there's another move here that I always do that I learned from Phase Sway, and that's the move that when you're coming up here, you kind of reverse this stair edit like this, and then you edit through, and then you keep going. It's a way of, it's just a high ground retake. But I want to point out the fact that this goes back to the last tip, and if you screw up this move, let's say you place the cone first, and then you try and turn around like this. If you turn around and you didn't place this wall, it's gonna force you to edit this wall instead. It's gonna be really triggering. It happened to me a lot while I was practicing. So the only way to get around that is to make sure that when you're doing it, you come up, you place this first. Now that I have my cone, and the cone was the last thing I placed, I can turn around and edit this stair because the cone is the thing that is already placed. So the next thing in front of me is the stair, so it's gonna work. I just want to point that out because that's really triggering. A lot of the times when I do this, I turn around like this and I have my wall here and I always get stuck like this and I can't do anything, when meanwhile I'm trying to edit the stair. Now another thing I want to point out is your sense. A lot of people have come to me and told me that they really can't find their sense on controller, and this is something that is really difficult. And I want to tell you guys that if you copy pro players settings or someone on YouTube, you really have to understand what their setup is. If they play double claw and you play single, you're gonna be different. If they play with a control freak and you don't, it's gonna feel different. If they have a Microsoft Elite Xbox controller and you have a normal Xbox controller or even a different series, it's gonna feel really different. For example, because you can literally tweak how fast this analog stick goes from right to left if you have a little key for it on the Microsoft Series, Xbox Series 2, whatever. But on normal controllers, you're just stuck with one thing. So just really keep in mind that if you're copying someone's settings, you understand their entire layout. You know exactly what they're playing, what controller they're using, what keybinds they have as their back paddles and stuff like that. That's really important when you're trying to copy settings. Now that that's out the way and you're trying to get your sense down, it's really important that you have a sense that allows you to not be jerky while you build, move, or edit, or whatever the case may be. You need to have smooth, consistent builds like Razor X, and the better that is, the better you're gonna turn out to be. There are a very small percentage of pro players that don't play claw that are really good at the game. It's just a fact. If you want to be really good at the game, the best way to do it is to play claw. And if you don't play claw, then whenever you try and find your sense, you got to make sure that you can just get the smoothest sense possible. And that means that whenever you're doing editing and you're coming here, you don't want to edit like that. It needs to be smooth. It needs to look like a mouse and keyboard build. The more you do that and the more you understand that your sense needs to be smooth, you'll get a better idea of what looks good and what feels good. Now, if you guys have any further questions, feel free to come through on the Twitch chat or in my Discord. I'm very active on all my social medias. All the links to all my socials will be in the description of this video. Also, drop a like for the one time if you actually learned something. If you really like this video, make sure you like the video and subscribe if you're new. I got more videos like this coming soon. Until then, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Everyone have a good night. Deuces. Peace.